Welcome to Teferi, Timebender. Hope you're excited to play some Planeswalker intro deck Commander time, blue-white control. It's actually pretty good. It's a lot of fun to pilot. So, as far as our opening hand goes, we do have 3 lands. We do have a Mana Rock and Chromatic Lantern. And yeah, this is good. We've got a good piece of universal removal, some good card advantage, and a good counterspell and Tails in. So we will certainly keep on this one. And we're playing against Joda. So let's go and lead off with a Tranquil Cove. And then go and pass the turn over to our opponent. Let's go and lead off with Island, and then I think we'll probably end up going for Shimmer of Possibility. Yeah, I kind of like that. So let's just go and dig a little bit deeper into our library. Blink of an Eye, Gilded Lotus. I think if we actually end up going Island, Chromatic Lantern, kind of do like Gilded Lotus. Yeah, let's go and grab that. So if we can get ahead on mana really quick, that's going to help us against Joda. And then I pass turn over opponent. So we're playing Teferi, Timebender. +2 untap up to 1 target artifact. Ooh, hit Midnight Clock. Let's go Island. In fact, instead of Chromatic Lantern, let's go Midnight Clock. And then I kick it back over there. So playing Teferi, +2 untap up to 1 target artifact or creature. Then -3, gain 2 life, draw a card. Excuse me, draw 2 cards. -9, take an extra turn after this one. Playing against Joda. 5-color Circus, more than likely. You may pay Wooburg rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. So, there we go. And we do hit the land drop off the top, so let's lead off with the Plains. And yeah, because Gilded Lotus into Chromatic Lantern sounds pretty good. One thing that okay, so we've got Sinister Sabotage up. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we've got a ton of mana. I'd much rather leave up Sinister Sabotage now that I think about it. So let's do this. Let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent. See if we can't catch something from maybe a piece of ramp or something like that. And that'll allow us to deploy out to Teferi and really end up having some fun. Our opponent did actually end up dumping Cleansing Nova into the graveyard. And so they maybe already have a board wipe. Do we want to? Yeah, I think we need to go and Sinister Sabotage that because depending on what sort of mana requirements they have, we definitely don't really have a lot of good stuff out there for our opponent. And we'll leave that Fabled Passage on top of our library. So there we go. They get the Harbor down. Let's have Fabled Passage come down. And I think at this point, this is going to be a perfect spot for Teferi. That's going to be 4 blue, tap down a white. And let's go for Teferi. And let's go for the +2. We're going to untap Gilded Lotus. There we go. Let's have Chromatic Lantern come down. And that does keep us open on going for Tails End. I guess technically we could go for Binding on Search for Azcanta, but I kind of like leaving it like this. So let's just go and pass the turn over to our opponent. So we are in a spot to where we can actually almost go for the Teferi Ultimate already. And one of the main reasons why we are using Teferi as the Planeswalker is because we have a lot of good stuff in the core of the deck. We have the 5-mana Teferi, which is the better Teferi. We've got Tezzeret in here because, as you can tell, we're running a lot of artifacts. We've got Dovin in here, the 6-mana Planeswalker, which is actually really good. And so the way we're kind of using Teferi as the commander of the deck is we want to have kind of a little bit more of a tempo play or a tempo commander to where, once we do have kind of a lock on the board state, we can get Teferi down and then use that extra turn to not necessarily just win the game, but it does just put you so far ahead of card advantage because I was playing earlier and, at one point I had like 4 Planeswalkers on the battlefield, and when you take like an extra turn with like a bunch of Planeswalkers on the battlefield, it just ends up being just so good for you. That's a lot of card advantage. So let's crack this Fabled Passage. Let's go and grab ourselves an island. Yeah, that looks like a good island. So that's going to enter the battlefield untapped, and then we'll pass it back over to our turn. We might end up going for the -3 to cash in 2 card draw. Tails End will definitely stop us from Joda, or at least stop Joda from getting on the battlefield, which is going to be very important because, if you have Joda as your commander, you're probably trying to cheat some spells out. So I'd like to build up some card of... Ooh, and then Karn's Temporal Sundering. Okay, so I think we might end up going for this. So we go for the +2. Yeah, I think... Is that what we want to do? Because we can just straight up take an extra turn. Or if we want to end up drawing 4 cards, I think I kind of like this just a little bit better. That completely cuts us off Teferi, though, unfortunately. I think at this point we need the card advantage. So we're going to go for the -3. Draw 2, there we go. Hit a counter spell. Let's go Karn's Temporal Sundering. Let's go ahead and send Search for Azcanta back to their hand. Actually, I think Arcane Signet sounds like a better option. Oh, we're going to take an extra turn. Man, I always get so worried we're going to mess up something. So we're going to go for Karn. We're going to take an extra turn since we do have a legendary creature on the battlefield or legendary planeswalker Teferi. This is going to be able to go through. But yeah, we're going to be sending Arcane Signet back as a tempo play, and then we're going to be set up with 2 counter spells. So, all right, so head this one over to the next turn, or our extra turn, and at this point, we're just going to be drawing a bunch of cards with Teferi. So let's go Evolving Wilds first. Let's go and crack Evolving Wilds. That way, one of the cards we don't draw is one of our basic lands. Let's grab ourselves a Plains. Let's go for the -3 ability. Okay, so we're not doing terrible, and if we end up going for Binding, I think that'll be good. 'Cause with Search for Azcanta, that's going to give them some really nice card advantage. So there we go. All right, so we're going to go and exile Search for Azcanta, and then pass the turn over to our opponent. So we do have Tail's End and Absorb. We are getting a few extra hour counters on Midnight Clock, so us being able to take an extra turn actually worked out pretty well. And that's the other cool thing with this Teferi is that there's just some times to where Wishclaw Talisman, I don't think we want that to stick. I don't think that's going to be good for us because whatever they're going to grab is not going to be good. All right, so we're going to counter that one. Even though we do get it back, just the thought of sending it back over there doesn't really sound that fun. Now, they are only at 3 mana, so if we can jam like a little Syncopate real quick, that would be a pretty good feeling. And that's going to be... Yeah, I think we'll do that because it's going to be that for 2. Add 1 mana. Yeah, let's go and do that for 2. And because they only have, yeah, auto pay on that one. That's perfectly fine. So we're going to get rid of that Arcane Signet. The main thing is we just want to cut them off any sort of access to colored mana. All right, there we go. So run into Island. Let's go for the, I guess we can plus up on this one. There's not really much we can do. So we'll tap 3 for Gilded Lotus. Let's go for the +1. Untap Gilded Lotus. And the good thing is now that we've got Teferi back to a -3, we can draw that card next turn and then be in a pretty good spot. So, all right, let's pass back over to our opponent. We're waiting for this Midnight Clock to come down. That's going to allow us to cash in a bunch of card draw. Then we should really be good to go. Typically, the way this deck operates is as long as we can get to the late game, just in case this is going to be Field of the Dead, let's go for a Tail's End. There we go. All right, so we're going to counter that one. And then now we're on the Teferi game plan for sure. And we run into Seal Away. So let's go for the -3, draw 2 cards, and gain 2 life. Yes, we'll definitely put Teferi back into the command zone. Okay, Time Wipe and Cage. That's going to be good. Let's go for Teferi again. And at this point, we just want to get a few more Planeswalkers on the battlefield, so we're going to go for the -3 again. Let's gain 2 life and draw 2 more cards. Oh, look at that. That is exactly what we want to see. Let's have Planes come down. Let's go OG Teferi. Well, not OG, but the standard all-star Teferi. Let's go for the +1. We're going to be able to untap one of our lands. I guess we'll just go and untap Plains. Oh, no, excuse me, 2 lands. We'll untap Island and then Tranquil Cove. There we go. And then that's going to be an extra counter on Midnight Clock. Oh, that's going to be 12. Okay. Oh, well, if we end up using Anticipate, it'll get shuffled away. Okay, that's not too bad. We do rip into Syncopate, Tails In, and Sinister Sabotage. I was hoping to get a few more Planeswalkers down, but hey, I'm sure our opponent's thrilled that we got... do we want a Sinister Sabotage, I think? No, we should probably Tails End. So we're going to be able to counter Joda. Well, they may... Okay, I was about to say, they may have a counter magic, but that at least still allows us to go for Sinister Sabotage next turn. And Cage, okay. Let's go for the +1 on Teferi. We're going to add at this point, it doesn't really matter, so we're just going to add triple blue. We're going to go Teferi, untap target artifact or creature. That's going to be Gilded Lotus. And then let's go for the Teferi, cash in a card draw. At this point, we're just looking for Azor or we're looking for Jace. That's another way that we can kind of close the game out is through Beat Sticks in the air. And we hit another land. So let's go Meandering River. And then I think that's really going to be it. So let's just go ahead and pass the turn to our opponent. So we're going to be, hopefully we're going to be able to, yeah, we'll just untap Meandering River. Click OK, and then pass it back over there. So one of the ways that we do try to win with the deck is through Azor. We can get Azor down, start swinging in the air, and now that our opponent does have Drawn from Dreams, I think we have to Syncopate that one, because they can end up paying for... Yeah, let's do that. So that's going to be Syncopate. That's going to be... X needs to be 3. 1, 2, 3. Because that's... Yeah, that's correct. 1, 2... Yeah, so we're going to make x equals 3 on this one. And we'll just auto pay because it doesn't really matter. But we're trying to get a Zor down, and that's going to allow us to go for some Sphinx Revelation attacks. That way we can swing in for 6, get some really good card advantage. And then the other way that we win is if we just draw into a ton of cards, then we get into a position to where we can, let's have Command Tower come down. Let's go for the -3. We're going to draw 2 cards. Another way is we can use kind of like a Laboratory Maniac win with Jace, which is always a good feeling. So let's go for the +1 ability. We'll be able to cash in an extra card draw. And our opponent having 40 cards in the library, we can actually probably start milling them out with Jace, which would be a pretty good thing. Oh, and then River's Rebuke. That's going to be great. Let's have Jace come down. So now we do kind of have like some sort of win condition. Let's go for the +1. We're going to have our opponent. Well, what's quicker? They're at 40 cards in the library. Yeah, I feel like we can do this. Yeah, let's go for us. We're just going to start targeting ourselves. All right. We're going to target. There we go. We're going to target ourselves. Target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. And so we're going to start digging for that Laboratory Maniac win. Ooh, we hit Dovin. All right, so let's go Dovin. That's going to be +1, draw a card. And that still keeps us open on Sinister Sabotage. So, all right, +2 gain. And that's one of the fun things about playing this deck is this is your standard blue-white control style build. But you just end up with these just beautiful board states. So let's go for the +1. There we go. We're going to be able to cash in a card draw. And if we need to, we can go for Cage on that zombie over there if we need to. Let's untap a few more lands. Growth Spiral, okay. We'll let that go through. No need to counter that one. And then we'll untap Island and we'll untap a Plains. There we go. Split that one down the middle. So at this point, we'll get rid of Island and get rid of Plains. Dump both of those into the graveyard. So we're digging towards 0 cards in the library. The main thing at this point right now is we do need to protect Jace. That's going to allow us to be our win condition at this point right now. We'll see how our opponent wants to swing in. Looks like they're going to go for OG Teferi. And so you can see where just having this embarrassment of riches, actually I think Seal Away. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so we're going to flash in Seal Away. That's going to be able to catch that zombie really quick. We're going to be able to seal it back into Field of the Dead. Get back in there. Get back into that crevice. And then that still keeps us open on Sinister Sabotage. Yeah, let's go for Joda. Just want to stop that one. And then once we get our Planeswalkers going, then we can really catch in some more card draw next turn. Even if when we go for a tempo play, what we can end up doing is going for River's Rebuke too. That'll end up being pretty good. And then Shimmer of Possibility. Yeah, we're actually going to leave them on top. That's not a bad card to draw into. And that gives us access to a pretty good chunk of cards. So, thankfully, it looks like, I don't know if they made the land drop yet for the turn, because if they haven't, then we haven't seen a zombie come down on the battlefield. So that's going to be really good for us. So, let's tap down Gilded Lotus. That's going to be triple blue. Let's go for the +2 on Gilded Lotus. There we go. Let's make the land drop for the turn. That's going to be Island. And let's just go through our Planeswalkers. We're going to cash in an extra card draw. That's going to put us into the Teferi range of being able to exile stuff out of their hand. Let's go for the Jace ability. Target player is going to put top 2 cards of their library into the graveyard. Draw into another land. Let's go. All right, opponent's going to scoop it up on this one. Yeah, this is, when you're playing blue-white control, we just get to the point to where we have so many resources to stop our opponent that it's going to be really hard for them to really gain any sort of advantage. We've got Teferi that's going to become an ultimate very soon. We've got Jace that we're working towards milling ourselves out and drawing cards. We've got Dovin that's allowing us to cash in card draw. Even if our opponent does build up a board state, we've got River's Rebuke to send everything back. We've got Cage to kind of stop any sort of, whether it's a Planeswalker or a creature. Once you get to this point to where you're just getting so much card advantage, this is basically a value win. So, hey, good game to our opponent. They stuck this one out for a long time, and I greatly appreciate that because we got to see the deck kind of go through the ropes. So, huge shout out to our opponent. And if you enjoyed the video, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to Teferi Timebender. As far as our opening, I love playing this deck. It's so much fun. As far as our opening hand goes, we've got 3 lands: Settle the Wreckage, Anticipate Chemistry. Yeah, this is fine. We've got a pseudo board wipe and Settle the Wreckage. We've got a little bit of our early game counter spells and then double card advantage. No reason to ship this one back. If we wanted to ship it back, we could try to ship it back for a that's going to come into play tapped either way. Let's have Tranquil Cove come into play tapped. That way we can at least go for Anticipate, and then we'll pass turn over our opponent. So we're playing Teferi, Timebender, +2, untap up to 1 target artifact or creature, -3, gain 2 life, draw 2 cards, -9. Take an extra turn after this one, which is always fun. Playing against Naru Meha, which reminds me of the Spanish term Mija. Yeah, Spell Pierce is a great option for that, because the longer that Searcher Canto sticks around and they get some really good stuff going for the rest of the game, it's pretty hard for us to do that. So let's have Fabled Passage come down. Let's go ahead and crack Fabled Passage. And since we can't, we don't have any counter magic, we're just going to go ahead and stick this Anticipate really quick, because if they counter this one, I'm not going to be a huge fan of that. So, ooh, then Tezzeret. Okay, so we're playing against a lot of wizards, low to the ground. Does Tezzeret sound that good right now? We have to put 1 card into our hand. I think at this point, just to make sure we're on Chemist's Insight, because at this point we just want card advantage, so we're just going to go ahead and grab an island. Yeah, it'd be fun to grab Tezzeret, but to be perfectly honest, if they just get any sort of assortment of wizards on the battlefield and they start swinging at Tezzeret, it's going to be hard for us to be able to protect Tezzeret and get that card advantage going at the same time. One of the main reasons Tezzeret is in this deck is because we want to, once we have a lot of artifacts down, we can go for that 0 ability, and then we're drawing 2 cards per turn. So pretty much that's the way I typically like to play Tezzeret, is making sure that if we get down Tezzeret, we're pretty much just going for the 0 ability, because sometimes that +1 ability, it is nice. You can build up towards the artifact count, but unless you're in a position to where you can really kind of stop your opponent, it's kind of hard to be able to develop a good enough board state to where you can get that 3 artifact count and cash in some card draw. So. But as far as next turn goes, we do have the land drop for the turn. Oh, and then we hit Dovin, which is going to be very nice. Now, we are looking at Didn't Say Please off of that Narset, so I think at this point, we're just going to go ahead and jam a quick Chemist's Insight and have to play around that Didn't Say Please. So, oh... Oops. Our opponent's got Narset now. We can't draw more than 1 card each turn. That's a bummer. Oops. That's a big oops right there. Okay, so yeah, that stinks. Hey, that's magic. You make mistakes sometimes. So what we can do is during our opponent's upkeep, draw more than 1 card each turn, because we don't want to hit the reset button on our set. So let's do this. So during our opponent's upkeep, we're going to go for a Chemist's Insight, and yeah, we don't have any counter magic for that, so we can't stop that. And so what we're going to do during our opponent's upkeep is go for Chemist's Insight. We're going to go for Blink of an Eye, simply because if we end up getting down Blink of an Eye, and then this way, it kind of puts them in a weird spot. If they want to go for Didn't Say Please, they can certainly counter it, and then this will, kind of basically be their entire turn. So we'll see exactly how they want to sequence this, because if they end up going for Didn't Say Please on this, and we hit the land drop, then that does allow us to go for hopefully one of our Planeswalkers. So the only downside with us going for a Planeswalker is that we're not going to be able to cash in card advantage. And so one of the cool things is, even if we don't hit that, we can go for like Teferi, and instead of trying to cash in card draw, we can just straight up just go for this. So we are still playing around. I Didn't Say Please. They did make the land drop. Yeah, I feel like this is a pretty good option for Gilded Lotus. If they want to burn it on this one, they certainly can. If I've got another counter spell, then that'll... Okay, so they're going to go for Didn't Say Please. So that'll work out. And we do need to find some sort of way to deal with Narset, because that each opponent can't draw more than 1 card is going to be very hard for us to transition ourselves into the late game, which is exactly what we want to do. And they're going to put probably Didn't Say Please on top of their library, because, well, no, there's pretty good assortment of stuff in there. Yeah, they're going to go for Didn't Say Please, so that's going to go on top of their library. And they still got Chemist's Insight, discarding a card. I feel like if they had, well, no, if we know what their counter spell is, they would have done that. So that's going to be scry 1 and draw a card. Let's do that same thing. Let's do this during their upkeep. We're going to go for opt, because we've already drawn a card for the turn, and we don't want to play into Narset again. That would not be good, so... Let's see if old Naru's going to come down. All right, it's going to be Chemist's Insight. Yeah, we're going to let that go through. And then you can see just how brutal Narset can be sometimes, just stopping down that extra card advantage. All right, so let's go for opt. We're going to go for the scry 1 draw card. I doubt this is going to get the didn't say please, but it might. You never know. Baffling End is definitely going to go on the bottom. And then we run into, oh, there we go. So we do hit a counterspell, so that is good. Because that's one of the things you do want to have in this deck, especially if we're trying to fight through our opponents didn't say please. Or let's say that they do finally get down to where they leave up the 3 mana. So Unexplained Vision. 5 blue mana, draw 3, scry 3. So they're going to draw 3, scry 3. Yeah, I feel like this is a good option for Absorb, because if we're trying to keep this game low to the ground and they don't have the lane drop, then we can hopefully squeeze in one of our planeswalkers. Or if they need to counter this, okay, then that's going to completely tap them out on mana. And then once we get down to Teferi, that's going to allow us to hopefully start digging for those extra turns, which we definitely need to go for. So they're going to put 3 to the bottom. They're going to be digging a little bit deeper. All right, so we run into Tails End. Unfortunately, we don't hit that 6th land drop. I'm just going past the turn. The good thing is we can still stop Naru, or if they're going to be banking on some sort of Planeswalker, and especially Tails End, that'll be a great option for God Eternal Kefnet. They're going to use Didn't Say Please, but we still need to force them to get rid of that because, yeah, we just need to keep God Eternal Kefnet off the battlefield. Okay, so they will end up going for Didn't Say Please, and then we mill 3 go into the graveyard. So let's see what we rip into. Another island. Okay, so we can stick one of our planeswalkers. We've got Dovin. We can go for the -1 if we want to keep them down on... keep God Eternal Kefnet on lockdown, but we've got -3 to draw some cards. If we go for the +2, we're just going to see Kefnet come down, and that's going to be us completely tapping out. I guess at this point, probably the better sequencing for us to do is go for Dovin. Hopefully they don't have Spell Pierce. Okay, that's going to go through. We go for the -1. We're going to be able to tap down Kefnet, and then that's going to allow us to hopefully go for Teferi. We can go for the +2 and then kind of deploy that out, and then hopefully find some sort of way to deal with Narset. Now, we have a lot of different ways that we can deal with Narset. We've got a lot of universal removal. We got the cage. We've got basically all those 4 mana enchantments that exile target permanent. So once we get rid of Narset, then that's really going to allow us to bust this open. Teferi's going to be out of his little Teferi prison, and that'll allow us to really kind of hopefully get a little bit more control over this board state. You know, it's not too bad right now. We're doing a pretty good job considering that we can only cash in 1 card draw per turn. But with it being a mono blue in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they've got 6 cards in the hand. We do need to watch out for counter magic. So, all right, so whenever you cast a historic spell, target player puts the top 2 cards of the library into their graveyard. Let's have Island come down. At this point, I mean, if they've got counter magic, they've got it. So let's see if this Teferi's going to stick. You know, we can always send it. All right, so they do end up, yeah, that's fine. We'll send that back to the command zone. And then we'll still end up going for the -1 because at this point it's just buying us time. Now, the Diligent Excavator does kind of accelerate that clock. They're going to be able to swing in for 1. Basically, it's going to kind of cut it down a turn once Diligent does decide to swing in. And that's going to be Released to the Wind, exile target non-land permanent. So if they end up actually exiling Dovin, let's see what they decide to end up going for, because they can exile Narset. I wish they put that. Oh, there we go. The reveal zone. So yeah, actually, they're going to exile Narset, and they're going to flash in. My goodness. All right, they're going to exile Narset so they can recast it and get that card advantage. We have to mill some out. We are at 30. Now, if we do rip into Jace, and somehow we get milled out, that would be a pretty good option. And that's going to be Released to the Wind on Narset. But looks like our opponent not necessarily going to get it on this one, but if you're keeping score at home, it's not looking good. And let me say that. So, oh, okay. So they're basically to be able to combo us out. Cool. Good game to our opponent. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go and scoop this one up just simply because they've got the combo win. So I'm not going to make them mill us out and then go to the draw step. So a good game to our opponent. Totally didn't know that was a combo. So that's kind of cool. So if you're looking at building Naru and you want to have some fun, there you go. Get down a mill option. You can use Release to the Wind to kind of combo off. That's pretty cool. So, but yeah, it's always fun to see that. You know, this is historic Brawl. The combos that are available in this format, I am totally not aware of them. So now we do know about the Naru combo. So, and also if you want to dip your toes into historic Brawl, and you can kind of be aware of that one, or if you want to incorporate it into your deck building, you certainly can. So if you enjoyed the video, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.